The end goal here is how can we improve home ownership to, everyone, not just people in this neighborhood, not just, people of this background. The goal should be how can we provide our services to everyone? How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Shawn and Matt Show. My name is Matt, that is Shawn, and welcome to our show. Shawn, Thursday, November 5th. You see any good things on television recently?
No, man, I shut it off, dude.
I think The Bachelorette is on. I'm kind of getting hooked to The Bachelorette a little bit.
Really? Look at that. Matt's soft side. Look at that.
Yeah, the soft side is coming out. There's usually always a realtor on The Bachelorette.
I noticed
and every now and then there's someone from Arlington, Virginia. And this year's Bachelorette has a realtor who has already been eliminated. The Bachelorette asked him why he's on the show. He's like, yeah, you looked good, so I just wanted to be on the show, and had nothing else to say. But the guy from Arlington, Virginia is still on the show, so I am rooting for my man Jason.
Cool. I'm glad you're into it. Now, I'm not really into anything right now. Joined the Hulu, the Sling TV, trying to get some different stuff going on. I like going back in time, kind of, and just watching episodes. I'm kind of into the first 48 crime shows, stuff like that, reality crime shows. Whether that's dark or not, I don't know, but that's what I'm into.
Yeah, I hear you. Half the time I walk into the living room, my girlfriend's there, and it's the single woman was murdered. I'm like, why are you watching this?
It's so dark, it's like, oh, why am I watching this? But it's so addicting, I just can't watch the fluffy little I used to, and I'll bet you if I started watching, I'd be totally hooked.
Don't sleep on The Bachelorette.
That's why I'm not doing it.
Yeah. Well, guys, in today's episode, we're not going to be talking about the election. We're going to be talking about Redfin. And recently, Redfin has a lawsuit against them alleging that their pricing policies favor white neighborhoods. Now, the way that Redfin is set up is that they're in some cities, they're not in other cities, and it's not necessarily saying, oh, well, you're not in XYZ city, so, you're discriminating. The way Redfin works is that they give a discount to their buyer clients, as well as a discounted fee for their sellers. And there's usually a minimum commission that they earn on that, or a minimum price. So the lawsuit, which is by the National Fair Housing Alliance, the National Fair Housing Alliance. So sometimes with these lawsuits, it's like Joe Schmo versus NAR, National Association of Realtors, or whoever. It's this is by the National Fair Housing Alliance, the Fair Housing Center of Detroit, Chicago is in on it, southeastern Pennsylvania, so think Philadelphia, Delaware County, and a few other communities I believe Long Island and Milwaukee. And essentially the gist of the lawsuit is saying that, let's take, for example, I believe Kansas City's in it. You're in Kansas City, Redfin operates in Kansas City, and there's one avenue in Kansas City that separates two different neighborhoods. And if you go to one side of the avenue, Redfin, you can click on a house, you can request a tour, and, everything's hunky-dory. On the other side of the avenue, it says, oh, these prices are below Redfin's minimum, and Redfin is not in this area because it's below their pricing minimums. So essentially what they're saying is Redfin is disproportionately helping out a certain demographic of buyers in the same area and not helping out another subset of buyers. So, Shawn, did you get a chance to read this lawsuit? Did you have any?
I didn't actually read the lawsuit. I read the article. And this is a tough one because I can understand a business doing business for profit. having to pay their agents, and they say, hey, well, if it's priced, if a value is priced or the value of a home is under a certain amount, we can't do what we're doing for all these other ones because there's just not enough money in it. So I completely understand that. However, when it's strictly on a line where, you're seeing a division in race, that's a whole different thing. So it's a really tough one, to be honest. I mean, this is maybe why you don't do a discount brokerage or, you don't do that thing, because we all have to make a living. And the different model for Redfin is that they actually pay their agents a salary. So they're salaried employees, and then Redfin is making the dollar. So in the end, they could still pay their agents the salary if they're on the lower side. But I don't know. It's a really tough situation, honestly.
Yeah, and I want to make it clear that I don't necessarily have an opinion on whether Redfin is right or wrong, if the lawsuit is, going to go through, if it should be thrown out. I just don't know enough about, the specifics of the lawsuit. So I'm not really going to make an opinion one way or the other, but it is good discourse to have, especially in a time like this. When, we're just seeing how systematic infrastructure and systematic rules and regulations are hurting some people in the world and some people in the home buying process, because, Redfin is a discount brokerage that will rebate the buyer money, essentially give the buyer money back at closing. And, if you're in the business of helping people and giving money back at closing, well, who needs the most help? Who needs the most amount, of money at closing? And it's usually people whose numbers are a little bit tighter. Maybe they don't have the largest budget in the world. So you would think that, Redfin would be more open to lower price points. However, just in our area, if someone wanted to buy a house in Ashburn for $200,000, I don't think I'd be able to service that lead. Not because I have anything against the person reaching out or the price point, but I'm trying to run a business. Now I'm comparing myself, an independent contractor, to Redfin. Now, so what I would do is if that lead came in and said, hey, $200,000 in Ashburn, can you help me? I would say, absolutely, I have an office in Ashburn with Ashburn experts that would be more than happy to help you. So essentially, we can't ask Redfin to lose money, or at least lose more money than they're already losing. But where do you draw the line of, hey, Redfin's in this town, but if you want to be in that neighborhood, you got to be at a higher price point?
Well, that's the thing is, realtors we are held to a different standard. Now, if you're just a flipping business like all of these iBuyers out there, the iBuyers they can do what they want. They're not licensed in real estate. They're, for the most part, they might not be selling their own real estate. So they can go and they can say, hey, I'm only going to do business in these areas because it fits my financial model. But then when you switch over to real estate, we have a duty, we have ethics that we have to follow. And when you have a business strategy, and that business strategy is about money that then eliminates some people, and it could eliminate people on an ethnic background, that's where you're going to get into trouble. And so maybe the discount brokerage just doesn't work, because listen, I've sold a $150,000 house before. I made very little money, but you know what? I did it. I did it because at that time I was doing everything that I could to get the business that I could build my foundation for. So it's a tough avenue, and I never really thought about it that way, because before I was like, all right, well, what you do is you just, you say, all right, listing side, you're going to sell it for X, regardless if it's below this amount, and then it's kind of a tiered platform. But if you change that platform, or you don't offer your services in a certain area, then you're discriminating against, I guess.
Yeah, and here's one specific example if you're still wondering about how this works now. Redfin is in some areas. Other areas they're not in, however, they do have Redfin partner agents. Maybe you've seen this, where it's someone that works for another company and they just forward, the information, take a cut, and Redfin doesn't help. You don't get the Redfin discount, but you do get a Redfin, partner agent who's certified or whatnot. But this is where, I'll give you an example here in Chicago, where the minimum sales price for Chicago, according to the lawsuit, services were only available on homes at least $400,000. Yeah. So if you're in a diverse area like Chicago, you have to be at $400,000. Whereas in nearby, and now I'm reading directly from the article, in nearby DuPage County, which they claim is predominantly white, Redfin's services and discounts were available to buyers and sellers of homes that met a minimum price hold of $275,000. So in neighboring areas, it's not, 1 minute away. It's the Midwest. Everything's a little bit further away. But in Chicago, you have to have at least $400,000 as a budget. In DuPage, that might be Naperville. I might be getting that wrong. But in DuPage County, you have to be only at $275,000. And what the CEO said, Glenn Kellman, who has been interviewed, this is an Inman article, is, they need to be able to pay their agents
a living wage.
Yeah. And the response to that is, well, if anyone can figure out how to serve privileged and lower budget communities, it should be the largest discount brokerage in the world. Now, I haven't seen Redfin's, I don't read their financial statements. I don't see, exactly how much they're paying their manager and every single agent. But certainly, if you're in neighboring counties and you have such a significant price difference, the brokerage models between neighboring counties are not that different.
Yeah, the brokerage models, now you can understand now, so I'll take his side for a second and then I'll flip, but so you see why his side, he's saying, well, there's a threshold here and a threshold there, because the agents that live in that county don't have as high expenses. They can pay them probably a lower wage than they can in the city, because the city is a lot more expensive, so they have to pay those people more, so that price point has to go up. But at the same time, you're putting yourself in a really big predicament, and that's why we work for a company that is global. We sell everywhere. It doesn't matter, right? One thing I'll say about the CEO, and I don't know this guy, but he's always a person, from what I read, to speak out against anything that has to do with discrimination. So he's the first person to be talking about it. So for him to be in this position is pretty, it's different. So he should take this as an example and say, all right, maybe I need to change these business practices.
Yeah, he said the lawsuit was wrong, but that it did, I'm now paraphrasing, it did lead to some conversations that need to be had.
Sure.
And, this kind of rolls over into another lawsuit, completely separate, but by that one homeowner who's suing NAR about fixed buyer commissions when a seller is selling a property. And if for some reason that individual person, wins that lawsuit, essentially what he wants to have is buyers pay their own buyer fee. Mm-hmm. So right now we're at a point where we're trying to give, discounts to everyone, because that's Redfin's business model. If your business model is to help out your clients and to give them money back, more power to you. But I mean, what happens if buyers have to pay for their own buyer's agent with this other lawsuit that's going on? Because the end goal here is, how can we improve home ownership to everyone, not just people in this neighborhood, not just people of this background. The goal should be, how can we provide our services to everyone? Now, we have our expertise. Shawn and I, condo, houses, Northern Virginia, inside the Beltway. I don't think the goal should be, hey, company, you need to practice business and do all of these things that don't make financial sense.
Right.
But at the same time, there is a fine line there where if you have bordering neighborhoods, certainly you can figure out how to help everyone in that community.
Yeah, and if you think about it, right now, a lot of the social media platforms, when we are going to advertise on social media, if you think about it, this is kind of strange, right? Let's think about this. So if I wanted to target a neighborhood and I wanted to make that my geo farm, I can go in and I can say, hey, I'm going to pull all these tax records and I'm going to send a mailer to all of these. Boom, boom, boom. And it's going to be this small little nice geo farm that I want to go after. In the same breath, I want to target that neighborhood on social media. Can I do it? You cannot, because they're saying it's discriminatory practices. So if you're a real estate agent and you are trying to target a certain area, you can only do that by mile radius, which now I'm hitting a huge area. And at first I was like, this kind of stinks, because I'm hitting a farm with orange line condo things that is not even on that radar. It's nowhere close to it. It might be a 5 to 10 mile radius, and that's nowhere near where we're targeting. So it's kind of a skewed thing. It's a difficult thing to get around. By no means are we discriminating in any way. We're just targeting our people that are not even our people, but just the area that we're going after. And that was our business model. So it's a tough thing. It's really, when you get into ethics and discrimination, you have to be very careful.
These are the tough conversations that, honestly, that we have to have in the real estate industry. And I am a little uncomfortable with the conversation because the guys, they got a great point.
Yeah.
What they're doing is not right. I see it from both sides. I don't know what the solution is. There's no real...
The key is treat everybody equally,
Right.
right? I mean, that's what we do. We have to treat everybody equally. And if they're giving a rebate or they can't give a certain rebate for certain people or certain types, I mean, it's like, I see that point. It's like, you're giving a rebate for this guy that has $1 million, right? But you're not going to give it to the guy that has very little. But maybe it's a sliding scale. You at least give them something. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Maybe just stop doing that.
Yeah, and to Redfin's credit, and Shawn mentioned it before, they have done some things in the past that have helped out fair housing and communities nationwide. So, it comes down to profits versus people, essentially. And, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Between this and, the buyer broker commission, should the buyer pay for that, we're going to start to see significant changes in the real estate industry, even if this lawsuit gets thrown out, even if other lawsuits in the real estate industry get thrown out. People are starting to realize that, hey, if I can get a commission on this street, but I can't on that street, that's not right. That shouldn't be the case. We're not here to say what the answer is, but if anything, we can spread awareness to make everyone else aware of what's going on. And, it's okay not to have an opinion, especially in November, in a presidential election time. It's okay to information gather, figure it out. The lawsuit is 76 pages long. We can't sit here and say, oh, the lawsuit is bogus, or oh, Redfin is right or Redfin is wrong. How are we qualified to say that? I don't think we are. All we can do is help our clients day in and day out. And I wouldn't say speculate, but I would say educate ourselves and learn about what's happening nationwide, so that if there is discrimination, we can get out in front of that and fix that for those that are being discriminated against.
That's right. I mean, discrimination's out there. There are other lawsuits that they brought up in here where we were targeted or treated differently because of their race, or they're steering them to ethnic places, and that's completely wrong. But you have to, your business model's got to be good for everybody. And yeah, exactly. We don't want to say who's good, who's right, or who's wrong in this. We're just trying to get the information out to you, and we'd love to hear what you think. What's your opinion about this Redfin model? Are they discriminating? Are they truly discriminating, or are they just trying to run a business? I mean, that's the tough question, and thankfully we don't have to answer that, right?
Yeah, tough conversation to be had. And I've been reading the comments, reading articles, and Look, I like Redfin. Like they're a competitor, but when Shawn and I are doing deals with a Redfin agent, they have really good systems in place, and agents will take shots at them online because agents are scared of their own business. But I've been reading some of the comments, and someone said, "Oh, well, this agent only takes like $5 or $10 million listings. Are they discriminating against $3 million listings?" And everyone runs their company and their brokerage a little bit different, but certainly in this case, it's a little bit different than a $10 million listing versus a $9 million listing.
And you also got to go on expertise. What's your expertise? What do you know the best? And that's where you become the expert in the area. That's why we're experts in the North Arlington, inside the Beltway area, right? We're experts. This is what we do all the time. So that person that's selling $6 to $7 million houses, that's an expertise. That's a certain knowledge that you have to have that a lot of us don't, right? I've never sold a $6 or $7 million house. So it's a lot different kind of, different transaction. So you can understand why certain people, if they have that knowledge, they're going to stick with that. And all the other ones are going to stick with what they know. It's just what you know, right?
Would love to hear your thoughts. Man, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells.
Yeah, I know. That's all right. You got to be careful, right? I mean, but we'd love to hear your opinion. I mean, there's going to be a lot of opinions on this, and we could go back and forth. We could see both sides, honestly, and I think that's why it's up to a court to decide,
Yeah, I mean, Redfin has this really cool opportunity. Yeah. Not many brokerages have this opportunity with this thing being presented to them, and they really have the power to tackle this by the horns and improve housing availability for purchasers overall. So that just about wraps it up for more of a serious Shawn and Matt show.
Yeah, a little serious. Yeah, a little more information than opinion driven, but sometimes you have to have these so we can get everybody else's opinion and kind of get a consensus of how people feel.
Yeah, I want to sit on this and learn more about it before I start jumping into comment section and adding my own opinion. Because if you just have a knee-jerk reaction to something like this, I mean, how could you with a 75-page lawsuit? Like, you gotta read the whole thing.
That's right.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching. Please definitely drop your opinion in the comment section below. And for Shawn and myself, until next time, we'll see you then.
Take care.